Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest news across the northwest.
Yeah, hello, thanks for joining us. Here's what we've got on the programme this Friday evening.
The parents of a precious 9-month-old girl who was killed at her nursery said they'll fight to change the law to protect other children.
That campaign isn't going to bring Genevieve back, but it's so important to us that other parents don't suffer in the way that we have suffered.
It's brought out the crowds in years gone by, but all of a sudden there'll be no Pride in Liverpool. We hear the shock after the city's big show of visibility and solidarity is cancelled with just weeks to go.
I'm so done in.
He's done it. Reality star Sam Thompson arrives at Old Trafford after his 260-mile trek, which has raised £1 million for Soccer Aid.
I'm at Wembley Stadium ahead of a massive weekend in Rugby League. Warrington Wolves men and St Helens and Wigan's women are all targeting Challenge Cup glory.
And with an unsettled weekend ahead weather-wise, we might just have to activate our waterproof feathers. I'll have all the details in the forecast later on in the programme.
So please do stay with us for all of that. We start tonight with the parents of Genevieve Meehan, who describe her as a beautiful, wonderful, very special little person.
Yeah, but in May 2022, the 9-month-old was killed at the hands of her nursery worker, Kate Ruffley, who tightly swaddled the 9-month-old and strapped her face down on a beanbag for more than an hour and a half.
Genevieve's parents have now launched a campaign calling for a change in the law, and this is what they want: compulsory CCTV in nurseries,
Unannounced inspections by Ofsted to be routine in early years settings,
reviews of CCTV footage during Ofsted inspections,
clear statutory safe sleep guidance,
mandatory safe sleep training for all nursery staff and Ofsted inspectors,
and clear statutory guidance as to the use of sleep products.
In their first TV interview since launching the campaign, Genevieve's parents sat down with our reporter Emma Sweeney. Genevieve's mother, Katie, started by telling us more about their baby girl.
She loved her teddies, she loved music, she loved dancing, she loved having cuddles. It felt like she was surgically attached to my hip because I didn't like to let her go. So she used to come around the house with me. We did all of our jobs together. I loved it because I could hear her breath in my ear, which is something that it's a real sort of visceral memory and feeling I get. She just had such a sort of sparkle in her face. She had a smile that filled all of her face.
And like so many parents, day in and day out, you entrusted your little bundle of joy with the local nursery.
Yeah.
And you chose Tiny Toes.
We did.
Tell us why you chose Tiny Toes.
We knew a number of parents who sent their children to Tiny Toes, and those parents had been positive. The last Ofsted report had been very good for Tiny Toes. We identified that they had staff members that had been there for a very long time, so they had very good continuity of staff members. The staff members appeared to be very well qualified, highly trained, particularly in respect of first aid. And when Katie attended at the nursery and voiced her concerns, this is prior to Genevieve starting, about safety, they were very reassuring to us about the safety element at the nursery.
And Genevieve wasn't at Tiny Toes all that long when the worst day of your lives unfolded. It was the 9th of May 2022.
Yes.
Katie, I think you were the one who got that phone call that day. Can you talk me through what happened?
I was expecting, when they said it was Tiny Toes, that it was going to be maybe she wasn't well and she needed to be picked up. But she said to me that they'd gone to wake Genevieve up from her sleep and she was limp and blue. The time sort of between getting the phone call and eventually getting to hospital seemed like a really long time, but it wasn't. They said to us, "Can you please come into this side room?" And at that point, John thought that she was still going to be okay, but I knew then. And they said, "We've been trying now for 40 minutes and there's nothing more we can do." And you just, it seems so impossible And I felt so desperate because you're looking at her and thinking, I saw you this morning and you were absolutely fine. And you're this living being that is so loved. It can't possibly happen. The images are in your mind every day, all throughout the day, and you try and sort of live with those, which is impossible most of the time. You can't understand it. I'll never understand it.
And this was all as a result of the actions of Kate Ruffley,
Yeah.
the nursery worker who should have been helping and protecting Genevieve, had
Absolutely.
tightly swaddled her and put her face down on a beanbag. She made you go through the pain of a court case because she didn't take responsibility.
Both John and I were being treated as witnesses initially, so we weren't allowed to be given a lot of information about what had happened to Genevieve. So hearing those things in court for the first time about how Genevieve struggled and how she was left were so horrendous. Hearing about the songs that were made up about Genevieve, one of the things that really I found very difficult to hear was about the toy that was thrown at her.
There was footage which demonstrated exactly what had been done, yet Kate Ruffley still refused to take any responsibility. And it was clear to us throughout the trial, as her story changed, to fit every new fact that was presented, that really anything was being done to avoid taking any responsibility for her actions.
So few people will ever be able to understand the pain that you've gone through. But you're also determined as a family to make sure that you do everything in your power to make sure others don't go through that pain. And because of that, you want to see a change in the law.
That campaign isn't going to bring Genevieve back, but it's so important to us that other parents don't suffer in the way that we have suffered. It's focused around the use of CCTV in nursery settings, the Ofsted inspection process and safe sleep.
And I think the campaign for us is, in a strange way, it's a way to be her parents and to parent her, because you're desperate to do anything for her.
Well, Emma joins us now, and Emma, your heart just breaks for Katie and John, doesn't it? In your piece, John mentioned some of the areas where they'd like to see those changes. Can you just talk us through them?
Yeah, absolutely, Katie. They want to see mandatory training around safe sleep practices. They want to see the compulsory introduction of CCTV in all nurseries and early year settings, not just for the parents' reassurance, but also to hold people to account. You know, the vast majority of nursery workers are fantastic, but in this case, Katie and John say they feel actually the only reason why they were able to bring Kate Ruffley to justice was because it was all caught on CCTV what unfolded that day. They want Ofsted also to routinely view CCTV when they're carrying out inspections. They want to see more inspections. They also want to see unannounced visits. That doesn't really happen at the moment. And Katie and John say, well, how can you hold people to account if you don't have those unannounced visits? How do you really know what's going on in the nursery day to day?
And what has the government had to say about all of this?
Well, the government says that it is carrying out strengthened safeguarding measures in September. It's going to introduce more of those, and it's going to review them to see whether or not they are strong enough. Well, Genevieve's parents say they're not going to be strong enough, hence the fact that they are calling for a change in the law, and they also have the backing of their local MP.
Katie and John have already done incredible work with setting up a digital campaign and getting people to email their MP to get them to sign up to the campaign themselves. So I would encourage anyone, write to their MP, get them to sign it, because actually that's how I can make the best difference in Westminster.
The parents are going to London in a few weeks' time to meet with the Early Years Education Minister there. They will present their campaign. That's the next step that they're going to take. In the meantime, people watching at home, if you want to find out more, go onto our website. We've got plenty of information there. There's also links and advice for people who may have been affected by this story.
Emma, thank you. On to more of the day's news now. Bosses at United Utilities have been banned from receiving bonuses for failing to meet customer and environmental standards. The government has stopped 6 water companies from issuing what they call unfair bonuses to executives this year. United Utilities say they have a track record of ensuring performance-related pay is closely linked to outcomes that matter to customers.
The water company executives have paid themselves over £100 million in bonuses, despite overseeing record levels of sewage pollution in our rivers, lakes and seas. So today, bonuses have been banned for 6 of the 9 water companies. That's what we said we would do before the general election. Promise made, promise delivered.
D-Day veterans from the northwest have returned to the beaches of Normandy to remember comrades who lost their lives. Today marks 81 years since more than 150,000 Allied troops embarked on a mission that would change the course of history. Many were from our region and many didn't come home. 100-year-old John Dennett from Wallasey was on one of the ships taking soldiers to the beaches.
Grateful to be able to come back here today after all these years to this wonderful memorial and celebrate or commemorate all those lads who gave their life at that time, and there's many of them.
A huge crowd gathered outside Sir Paul McCartney's Performing Arts Institute in Liverpool earlier amid rumours he was meeting Bruce Springsteen. The former Beatle returned to Liverpool as the American rocker spent time in the city between gigs at Anfield Stadium as part of his Land of Hope and Dreams tour. The 75-year-old holds Sir Paul among his musical heroes and performed with him at Glastonbury 3 years ago.
Well, still to come on our programme this evening.
Stunning silverware up for grabs will be pitchside at Wembley ahead of not 1 but 2 Rugby League Challenge Cup finals.
And low pressure is the name of the game as we head into this weekend with a particularly active front pushing in from tonight. Find out what that means for us in the forecast in a few minutes.
Now, many in Liverpool's LGBTQ+ community are demanding answers after the cancellation of the city's Pride event and march.
The charity which organises it says rising costs and difficulty securing funding had made it quite impossible to bring Pride in Liverpool this year.
Well, it's a cancellation which comes just weeks before thousands were due to take part. Victoria Grimes sent us this report from Liverpool.
Well, LCR Pride say they're devastated that this year's event can't go ahead. They say that they've tried to make it work, but organisational and financial challenges have meant that it's just not possible. Well, obviously, that's been a huge blow to members of the LGBTQ+ community here in Liverpool, for whom the Pride March and all the surrounding events mean so very, very much. And it seems that those members are now rallying around and say that the march will go ahead. That's the one that starts at St George's Hall and is an integral part of these celebrations. Earlier I spoke to performer Miss Grace, who has performed at Pride here before, and they explained just why it's so important.
Those that aren't able to go to queer nightlife spaces, the ones that may have just started college or, even high school, figuring out their identities, they don't have somewhere to go this year. And the main thing about Pride is when you see those families come together to support everybody, the children that aren't taught hate or anything, they're just taught love and to accept. That's what we're going to miss potentially this year.
Well, we're on Cumberland Street, which is something of a hub for those communities here, outside the famous Masquerade Bar, which has always been a huge part of LGBTQ+ culture here in the city. Earlier I spoke to their owner, who said that events here that are already planned will still be going ahead.
No, nothing's going to change here. Everything's going to stay the same as it has the last 2 years. We've had the stage, we've had the road closure. It's been a really, really good day. We've had entertainment on from 2 till 10 o'clock at night with the drag queens, tribute acts, special guests, and we're just going to continue with what we've done every year.
And Masquerade aren't the only ones who say events will continue. Say here, the LGBTQ+ and HIV charity say that their Pride Access event at the Brink will still go ahead. And looking ahead to next year, LCR Pride say they're working with groups in the city to create a stronger and community-led event for next year.
Victoria Grimes there reporting from Liverpool. Now let's find out what's on the national and international news at 6:30. Here's Lucrezia with all the details.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, the latest on the Trump-Musk bust-up in a very public war of words. Are there any signs of reconciliation between the US president and the world's richest man? Also, could you be one of the hundreds of thousands of energy customers at risk of supply and billing problems? We reveal why. Plus, arise Sir David, the former England and Manchester United star, to get a knighthood in the King's birthday honours list. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Still waiting for your knighthood, are you, Rob?
Yeah, that's never come.
Time now for sport, and it's one of the biggest weekends on the sporting calendar, the Rugby League Challenge Cup final.
Yeah, Mike is live at Wembley for us. Mike, 3 North West teams playing on that hallowed turf.
Yeah, that's right, Rob. Good evening, everybody, from Wembley Stadium, where the stage is set for a Challenge Cup double-header. As you say, 3 North West teams are battling it out tomorrow for 2 pieces of silverware. It starts with Wigan against St Helens in the women's final, and they're going to be playing for this trophy. And then attention's turned to Warrington Wolves against Hull Kingston Rovers in the men's final, and they are playing for this, one of the oldest, most prestigious pieces of silverware in any sport in the world, the Challenge Cup. Now, the Warrington team have already been here today. They've had a little Wembley walkabout this afternoon, a little training session. They are no strangers to this place. They played here in last year's final, of course, where they were beaten by Wigan Warriors. Warrington have won the Challenge Cup 9 times in all. The last was back in 2019. A little earlier, I managed to grab a word with their head coach and captain. George, what's it like to be back?
Yeah, really good. Really exciting to be here. Obviously, we just had a last training session before for the big game tomorrow, but yeah, it's good to be back. It's a bit weird it being empty, so looking forward to it being full tomorrow.
Very short session, but what does it do for the players?
Yeah, we're just fine-tuning the week. Obviously, all the prep and everything's done really by this point. We're just trying to get them to races. Anything we need to tidy up, we're trying to tidy up now, but the majority of the work's done just to get them running and ready to go by this time tomorrow.
Have you done anything differently this year in the build-up to try to change the result?
Yeah, we've changed a few things around. You know, nothing drastic, but you know, things that we think will help performance. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we learned a lot about ourselves last year. I think 10 or 11 lads had not played in the final before, so the occasion probably got the better of us. We're very hungry, desperate. A lot of lads tasted defeat last year, which is never good. So yeah, we're looking to turn the tables.
You've already played on a massive stage this season in Las Vegas, but there's nothing quite like Wembley, is there?
No, not at all. I think I was speaking to Paul Vaughan actually in the change room. He said, "Which one do you prefer?" And I said, "Wembley all day." So it's obviously our national stadium, and I've not won here yet, so hoping it's the first time round.
You always look like you're ready just to lace up the boots and get out there and play yourself. Do you miss playing on weekends like this?
Well, I don't very often, but I mean this weekend probably. Yeah, I'll be envious of the players tomorrow afternoon.
What would it mean to take that trophy back to Warrington on Sunday?
Yeah, it'd be special. This group has obviously not won anything under Sam yet, so it'd be our first trophy under him. I think the fans deserve it. We've not won a trophy since 2019. So yeah, this is what we need for the town, for the club, and for the group of players.
Good luck, George.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, it really is a huge challenge for Warrington tomorrow. Hull KR are the favourites. They are the form team in Super League at the moment. They're top of the table, 12 points clear of Warrington. But of course, anything can happen in a cup final. And that's exactly what Wigan are hoping as they take on St Helens in that women's final. This will be Wigan's first ever appearance here at Wembley. Now, if you tuned in a couple of nights ago, both teams joined us in the studio to preview this one. St Helens, very much the favourites in this one. They have won the Challenge Cup for the last 4 years in a row. The last 2 finals have been right here at Wembley Stadium, so this place is very much feeling like a second home.
There's girls in that squad that haven't won it before. There's girls that have stood at the bottom of those steps as a loser. There's girls that have stood there with not having the opportunity to pull on the shirt. So even though there is experienced players in there that have, you know, had the opportunity, there's quite a few of us that haven't.
Yeah, it's massive. I've always enjoyed playing against Saints. We know how much it means to the clubs, both clubs, for a big derby win. It's really exciting. It's probably going to be our biggest challenge yet, so we've just got to go out there and give it our best shot, and hopefully we come away with the win.
Now, about 10 miles south of Wembley Stadium is Twickenham, which next weekend hosts Rugby Union's big day. Will Sale Sharks be part of it? Tomorrow they head to Leicester Tigers, hoping to secure their place in the Premiership Grand Final. It's 19 years now since Sale were last crowned English champions, and after an up-and-down season, the players want to finish on a high for their supporters.
Sale fans have been unbelievable this season. I think we've definitely taken them on a roller coaster in terms of where we were November, December, and then we crawling back and then trying to throw it away at the end of last week. They're unbelievable. They're part of the kind of our why for us. Yeah, definitely no short motivation. They're unbelievable.
Really looking forward to it. You know, we've had a good season and we've been building towards the end of the season. So yeah, it's massive for us. We've been in the final before and we've not quite got there. So yeah, it's big for us.
We're the only club, I'm very proud to say, that now 4 seasons out of 5 have made semi-finals, which is quite an achievement. I'm a girl, I grew up with fairy tales, and I'd like to think that fairy tales do come true. So maybe this is the year that we're actually going to kiss that trophy. Not kiss the frog to turn it into a prince, but to kiss the trophy. So everything is crossed.
So there you have it. The football season may be over, but for the supporters of the Oval Ball, things are only just getting started. The very best of luck to all of our sides tomorrow. We will let you know how they get on Monday's programme. But for now, from a very sunny Wembley Stadium, it's back to the studio.
Oh, thanks, Mike. That's a bumper weekend of rugby ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Good games, those. Finally tonight, he may have been made in Chelsea, but he's finally made it in Manchester.
Yeah, reality TV star Sam Thompson ran and cycled more than 260 miles from London to Old Trafford in just 5 days to raise money for UNICEF. The whole time he was carrying the all-important Soccer Aid match ball.
It was a feat plagued by injuries and classic British weather, of course, but one that's raked in more than $1 million for the charity. Anne O'Connor has more.
From Made in Chelsea.
Come on! We're ready. I'm just telling myself to come on.
To Made Up in Manchester. An exhausted Sam Thompson's 5-day challenge coming close to an end over the Coronation Street cobbles. Finishing at Old Trafford. After raising £1.5 million, he summoned the energy to raise the Soccer Aid for UNICEF match ball.
I'm so done in.
The I'm a Celeb champ was clearly relieved. Let's face it, he was even hugging me.
I'm so sorry, I've just realised I'm sweating out. I'm so sorry.
So tell us what it was like coming round that corner and seeing these people on the finish line.
Oh, it was amazing. Like, I was just said already, like, these guys are all my family.
And
like,
you've arrived at the Theatre of Dreams.
I know, I'm a Chelsea fan.
But it's been a bit of a nightmare at points, hasn't it?
Oh, mate, day one I tore the calf. But we strapped it up. I'm in on a lot of pain meds, the legal limit, but on a lot of pain meds.
Right, so keep going to the giveaway sign.
His charity run, ride and limp around the football grounds was clearly gruelling, even with the support of ITV friends like Joel Dommett and Ben Shepherd. The sight of best friend and fellow reality star Pete Wick saw more hugs, this time in desperation.
Right, you're good. You're good.
Look. Give it to him.
Of course I'll be here, mate.
He's very, very emotional. I didn't realise until I'd spoken to Gary how bad the injury was. I mean, he's torn his calf. Gary said someone would be out for 3 weeks, and Sam is not able to do that.
Go on, Sam! So the reception was a welcome sight for Sam, who's raised more than $1 million for the UNICEF children's charity projects across the globe.
You're a childminder, you've got your hands full. What made you come down here today?
Just the excitement of it all. And
It is exciting, isn't it?
and I don't know how he's ran and cycled all that way for 5 days because I was out of breath running from the car park to here, hearing all of them scream.
That leg means he won't be playing in next Sunday's big Soccer Aid match.
So you're going to wear a waistcoat and be a manager?
I'll keep trying to tell him to let me, but at worst, I'll be there.
Even if it's not running up and down the touchline. Anne O'Connor, ITV News, Old Trafford.
Oh, you really feel for him
Yeah,
hobbling
you do.
across that finish line. Well, the final total raised will be revealed at this year's Soccer Aid for UNICEF. The match will be on ITV on Sunday, June the 15th, live from Old Trafford.
Now let's get the weather. Here's Joe.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. The weekend is upon us and it does look rather mixed weather-wise, with some really heavy pulses of showery rain through the day tomorrow and blustery winds contained within those downpours. Perhaps a little brighter and drier during Sunday, but still the scope for a few showers. It's into next week when our weather will tend to settle down and warm up just a touch. Low pressure dominates and a rather active frontal system will move in from the southwest overnight tonight, bringing with it heavy spells of rain, a rumble or two of thunder during the day tomorrow, and behind it showery conditions for Sunday, but perhaps a little drier and brighter. Back to this evening, initially quiet, but winds pick up a touch, cloud will build, and the beginnings of that front moving in before midnight, and after midnight something rather heavy pushing up across the northwest of England and the Isle of Man. A little bit breezy as well with that wet weather as it approaches before dawn. It does make for a mild night, 9 or 10 degrees, the overnight low. On to tomorrow. First of all, the sun is up at 4:43 and it sets at 9:37 tomorrow evening. It's likely tomorrow morning will be quite a washout for our part of the world. Heavy pulses of showery rain, lots of water on the region's roads, perhaps a rumble or two of thunder, particularly Greater Manchester, Cheshire, Derbyshire way. Into the afternoon, perhaps a few glimmers of brightness and a little drier, but it's blustery and feeling cool for the time of year. 14 or 15 Celsius at best tomorrow afternoon. Now looking ahead to Sunday, it is likely to be a brighter day for the northwest of England and the Isle of Man. Still scope for a few showers, it has to be said, but they will be lighter. Temperatures perk up to 17 degrees and into next week it should begin to settle down with temperatures gradually on the rise.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Making the most of summer. Piri sponsors ITV pollen count.
With some very unsettled weather conditions ahead this weekend, it's certainly likely that pollen levels will be low on Saturday in the northwest, rising to moderate for Sunday and Monday. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks, Joe. What a washout. I hope you've got no outdoor plans this weekend.
Take a brolly.
That's it for Granada Reports this week.
Tasha's here with the late update after news at 10, but for now from the whole team, thanks for watching. Good night.
Bye-bye.